Leroy, how you been, my friend?
What's happening? What's going on?
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Everything going well here. Let me start it off on the Chris Grier front. Obviously, the effort and the season, it kind of speaks for itself, but the deadline is next week. Why was today finally the day where Stephen Ross said, you know what, we're done with Chris Grier?
I just think they came to some sort of agreement because I think, to be honest with you, the way the wording was, he really likes Chris Grier, didn't really want to hurt his feelings, right? So they did it this way, and you see it a lot, with people that they both decide, hey, it's time to make a change, but this isn't getting fired. We're just both going to decide that now is the time. But if you just look at his track record, look at some of the things he did. They took a big swing and miss maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and then they tried to reset and kind of do it. But Chris Grier, when he first took over, he said one thing: I'm going to build this team from the trenches out. And he built it from the outside in. And if you look at all the successful organizations, all the teams that can kind of withstand injuries and stuff like that, it all starts off from one place: offense and defensive line. And it's been terrible. Like with the guys that they've signed, I've never seen a GM, as long as I've been around football, sign more injured guys that end up getting hurt and everybody's shocked, right? So I think he made some decisions that led to this point. And then after last year, starting off the same way, and the owner saying, hey, this isn't good enough, and then start off the season the same way and then lose like that last night. Yeah, something had to happen. And I think, to me, what they're saying is, I don't know what to make of Mike McDaniel just yet because of the players that he has on the field. That's kind of where I'm going from that. If he would have said, okay, Mike McDaniel, we've had enough of this, then you would be saying to me that we have the players and the weapons to win football games. You just can't get it done.
Also, with that being said, from now until the deadline next week, I wondered if that played a factor. Do you expect the Dolphins to be unloading some big-name players like, is it Jalen Waddle or Devon Achane? Are they there for the taking right now? And maybe they just said, okay, if Grier's going to be out at the end of the year, let's not make him pull the trigger on these deals right now and have somebody else do it.
I kind of think of it as, listen, if there's any decisions to be made, do we want him making the decisions?
Yeah.
Right? Now, the guy that they have as interim, Champ, I can't think of his last name, but I don't know if he's going to make any moves either. Because right now, I think what you have to do is not make any drastic moves. Achane and Waddle are two of your better players, right? They're also really young. Now, the decisions that kind of need to be made is Bradley Chubb, he's going to be free next year, or you're going to cut him. Mm-hmm. You got Judon, who's not even playing, right? You could probably get peanuts for him. But then there's Jalen Phillips. Now, here's the deal with Jalen Phillips. He's a good player. He's been hurt the last 2 years. And then you're going to have to pay him next year. And if you don't pay him, he could go somewhere else. So that might be a considered piece to move, simply because if you do move him, you're getting something for him and not have to be pushed into a corner and have to pay him what you don't want to just to lose him for nothing. And they've had that problem before with a guard and Hunt, and then with Christian Wilkins, that they played this game and then they lost two guys that he actually drafted, that Chris Grier actually drafted, that walked. That never happens. So you add all this stuff together, and that's where we are here today.
Leroy Hoard here with us. When you get to the McDaniel part of it, so right now, Champ Kelly, right, is the interim GM. He's going to run the show.
Right.
You get to McDaniel. Does your gut tell you? Because, like, hey, I thought before the season, Grier should have been out. and McDaniel is out. Clearly, there was a great relationship for all these years with Ross and Grier, why he was able to keep his job this long. But everyone tells you that Stephen Ross believes in Mike McDaniel. Does that mean that history is going to repeat itself? Because I think, okay, McDaniel's out by the end of the year, but this owner has proven to hold on to guys longer than he should. Where are you at that McDaniel's done at the end of the season?
There's a couple of things. One, who's going to be the new GM? If you bring in a new GM, what kind of GM is it going to be? Is it going to be a guy who has been a GM before, therefore you're going to give him the power to make that decision? Or is it going to be, a assistant GM with another team that's going to probably start new, right? One of the problems I have with everybody saying we need to get rid of Mike McDaniel is that who's out there? And the other thing is, if you bring an older coach or a retread, he's going to want all the power. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of things people don't mind giving up, but power ain't one of them. So if you hire an older coach, a guy who's, had success, he's going to come in, he's going to want to make all the decisions. What does that do for everybody else in the building? Not just the GM, but all the other guys. So there's a lot of decisions that have to be made before now and when you decide what you're going to do with Mike McDaniel. I don't know. Like, to me, the way they're hiring coaches, they're hiring young assistants, young coordinators, and like that. And it just seems like you're going to go through the whole process again with a new Mike McDaniel.
But maybe it ends up working. Like, that's the thing. It may not work, but I know
right.
McDaniel has already reached his apex. The guy could get to the playoffs 2 times. He's not going to win a playoff game. And it's not the fact that they're just losing. Because, right, you could be on a bad team. You could be on a losing team. But then it's becoming an embarrassment. And at the podium, he's sloppy. Tua at the podium has been sloppy. Last night, you have the running backs coach going off on Ollie Gordon when it shouldn't have even been called a penalty. There's just been a lot of sloppiness on that sideline where I look at Mike McDaniel and I say, hey, it's one thing to be bad, but then it's to have no control of your team. And it just seems like McDaniel has no control of this team.
Right. And I would take it one step farther. I think that for me, and this has to do with, I don't care about the news conferences and stuff like that, because when I see the team play, as bad as it looks, they're playing hard, right? But I would say this. When I watch what Mike McDaniel does and how he puts the offensive scheme together, there's no flow to it, right? It's just a whole bunch of plays, a whole bunch of excellent offensive plays with no kind of, if I do this, then the next time you do this, here's my counter. And it's never a back and forth. And case in point, last Sunday, what they did against Atlanta was art. They brought in big guys. They brought in an extra offensive lineman because they didn't have any tight ends. They ran the ball well. They used Achane and Ollie Gordon. They didn't know, the defense didn't know what to do with Achane with another running back in the backfield. And all this worked. And I thought to myself, I said, after being in this situation, when you have a short week, you're probably going to just continue to build on that. And they ran a whole nother offense. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I do have my issues with how they're doing things. But I always say, is it because they don't have the players to kind of be consistent with it? And so I get torn. I go back and forth with that. But I will tell you, I've been frustrated just watching the offense and him supposedly being an offensive guru, because I tell you, every place that he's came from, they will run the ball and continue to run it until it works. When you look at San Francisco, they have their little trick plays and their reverses and their quick screens or whatever, but they are going to run the football. And that's where he came from, and I don't see that. And I'm always wondering, is he overcoaching? Is he trying to do too much with the guys? And now the guys are on the field not being able to play because they're worried about what the hell to do.
And he got exposed last year, I thought, because for a while when Tua got hurt in previous years, right, people were fine with the product. And it was like, oh, McDaniel is this genius. And there were debates all the time, like, who's more important? Is it Tyreek Hill or is it or is it Tua Tagovailoa? But then last year, when you saw Tua leave and how disastrous it was, McDaniel had no answer. And you look around the league, like 1 year, Kevin Stefanski, I know people don't love him right now. Joe Flacco came off the couch, made the playoffs. We've seen Sam Darnold's career get saved in Minnesota. Geno Smith had a run in Seattle.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Daniel Jones now.
Holy smokes. Right.
The 49ers. Mac Jones is winning
Mac
games.
Jones.
And that's the thing. Early on, people thought, McDaniel's this guru because he had success when Tua got hurt. But then you saw it recently, he's not as good as what we thought.
Right. I just think there are moments in the game where he overcoaches the situation. And sometimes, don't give the other team that much credit. If you're doing something that's working, don't just assume they're going to stop it until they stop it. And that's the difference between a young coach and an older coach. Because an older coach, these old coaches, if something's working, they'll do it until you stop it.
Yeah.
And you have to get over yourself. The object in this sport is to win the game. That's it. And I always tell people down here in Florida, Brian Billick was an offensive guru. The year he won the Super Bowl, they went 5 games without scoring an offensive touchdown. And he's still known as a Super Bowl champ. You know why? He understood what he had on the other side of the ball. Right? So coaches have to sometimes get over themselves and just understand this is what I need to do to win and get over what it needs to look like. I think there's too many coaches out there that want things to be aesthetically pleasing and they put themselves in harm's way and don't end up winning instead of just going out and winning the game. If it's a street fight, if it's a rock fight, if it's a 9-10 game, just win the game. And people will be satisfied with that, even if you're an offensive guru. Because they said the same things about Brian Billick. Offensive guru, can't score a touchdown. Oh, they won the Super Bowl champ.
Wrap it up with Leroy Hoard. I know the question I'm about to ask you, it's a tough one because it's probably, not probably, it is a mixture of both. We know Tua's body has been through a lot. We know Tua just doesn't seem confident right now. Do you think it's more mental or physical with the struggles of the quarterback?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I'll tell you, here's the other thing. They won 2 games. And the 2 games that they won, Tua rolled out and threw the ball on the run. And when I saw that, I'm like, they said they couldn't do that. Why isn't he doing it more? And never saw it again. And there's before we say a guy can or can't do it, let's challenge him to do it, right? Tua can't run. There's a lot of quarterbacks that can't run, but can he throw on the run? Yes, we've seen it. Why don't we do that more? Why don't we protect the offensive line a little bit by rolling him out a little bit? Or the rollout, something to move the pocket. That's what coaches have done over the years with quarterbacks who sometimes the protection is a little tough.
Do you think the concussions impact that?
No, not.
I'm just saying the fear of doing it from the optics.
From them doing it?
Yeah.
No, it puts them in open air. Right? I think if you want to know how you get crushed, standing there like a statue in the middle with all those behemoths coming after him, right? That seems to put me in harm's way a little bit more. So move him a little bit. Don't tell me he can't throw when I've seen it with my own eyes. Don't tell me what he can and can't do just because we haven't seen it. And so that's, I think there's a lot more before we sit here and say Tua can't do this or can't do that. I say, you know what? Let's put it on film. And you might be shocked.
I'm curious on your answer, and I think I know how you're going to go off this. 1, 2, and 3. 1 being the most amount of blame, 3 being the least amount of blame. How do you order the blame for Chris Grier, McDaniel, and Tua, why the Dolphins are in this spot right now?
Grier, McDaniel, Tua.
That's what I thought, exactly how you were going to answer that question, just by listening to you for the last 15 minutes.
Because they don't have an offensive line. That's on Grier, right? The play calling and some of the things that they've had success with, how quickly they go away from it, that's on that's on Mike McDaniel. And then Tua hasn't played that well this year. So he does get a lot of the blame. But let's also consider this. The first 2.5 games of the season, the defense didn't force a punt. 11 quarters. 11 quarters
Tough to win that
without
way.
forcing a punt. And so you're going to come to me and tell me this offense is terrible. The Tua, he's not the guy. I'm like, Tua, nobody's been put in a good situation to win. And so I think you need somebody to come in, maybe fresh eyes, somebody who's not been around the organization, right? Somebody to come in, look at it, and then evaluate it, and then make decisions on that. If you have somebody that's been in the system, a lot of times they just try to roll with the guys they like. You need fresh eyes. Get some fresh eyes on it to just evaluate the situation. He's not going to have, a dog in the race. He's not going to have anyone that he's accountable for. And he's going to come in, evaluate the situation, go to Stephen Ross and say, here's what we need to do. And Stephen Ross is going to need to trust it, whether he likes it or not, and move on. Now, it's unfortunate because Tua is going to be here another year.
Yeah. No, he will be, especially with the way the contract was,
right.
It was given out. And that's why I said they should have waited a year when they gave it to him at the time. But anyway, in terms of the future coach, because I don't think McDaniel will be back next year. Like, I can give you the coordinators out there, like maybe because of the Michigan connections, Jesse Minter's the next coach.
Right.
Would it shock me if a Joe Brady's coaching the Dolphins next year? I think he'd probably get more likely to be in Cincinnati. But we know who the coordinators are and the unproven names, the guys that have been there for a few years and who they could have. But I look at Stephen Ross. He's 85, turns 86, I think, in May. Like, this could be the last time you make a big hire, just with how many years you're getting up there in age. So I would think with how impatient and probably angry he needs to just be feeling today, maybe he does go big fish hunting. Now, you may laugh at some of these names. Is there a reunion with Nick Saban? Is it Bill Belichick? Is it Mike McCarthy? Is it John Gruden? Like, do any of those four names have a shot? If we find out at the end of the year McDaniel's out and Stephen Ross says, you know what, I got to go get a big fish. I got to go reel in the big fish. I'm going to go with one of those four.
I would go Nick Saban, Mike McCarthy, and then the other two, no.
Gruden and Belichick, you have no interest in?
No. I mean, Gruden is a brilliant football mind. But let's be clear. The last time he won anything was the last time the Dolphins won a playoff game. And so what I ask people is, like, you talk about the Dolphins not being in the playoffs for 25 years, and then you're going to go hire a coach that hasn't won anything in 25 years. That seems off with me. The whole Belichick thing, no. As much as I love the man, I think he's an excellent coach, he got too much around him.
It would be easy to sell Jordan Hudson, though. You could say, hey, basically, we're doing spring break 24/7 down in South Florida.
The last thing this organization, this team needs is distractions, right? So I think the Nick Saban thing, maybe for
could they bring him back? Could they bring him back, Saban?
Nick Saban?
Yeah.
Under different circumstances, if you just let him do what you need to do, right? Now, here's the kicker. Remember, he's the one that replaced Jalen Hurts with Tua. So if you bring Nick Saban in, he might love him some Tua.
Yeah,
right.
And he knows Waddle too.
He knows Waddle too.
I brought it up in the summer to Hockman and Crowder, your guys on WQAM, when I go on with them each and every week, and they both thought I was crazy. And I'm like, hold on, it's a big name coach. You know the owner's going to want to be desperate.
Right.
He knows Tua, so if you're trying to save Tua, that can maybe help. And then also he knows Jalen Waddle. Like, I don't think it's a crazy idea.
Here's the thing that I would say about Nick Saban. He's probably the only person in this world that could go at Tua the way he needs to go at to get production.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And he likes him too.
In the world. So if that's the way you're looking at it, then yes. But here's the thing. You need someone new, but someone with experience, right? I do believe that to the fan base, right? To me, I don't care what the circumstances are. I just want somebody in to win, right? But to the fan base, the way it ended the first time, right? If you were to bring Nick Saban back, they might have a problem with it. And because of the decisions made today, you can clearly see that, yeah, Ross has the ear of the fans, or the fans has his ear.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I don't know how that will work, but there has
That's
just
why
thinking,
I think if they go for a guy that's been established before, I know Saban didn't work in the NFL, but we know what we're talking about here. That's why I think it would be McCarthy, if anybody.
Yeah, well, and then keep in mind, don't you want somebody a little more like a little closer to Nick Saban instead of closer to Mike McDaniel?
In terms of you mean more
Right,
polished,
because McCarthy's not known as a yeller or something like that.
Sure.
And sometimes your team and your organization needs a little heat under their butt.
Yeah, especially this organization, because
right. So but look, all these questions we're having and all these conversations, this is what I'm clearly coming to the conclusion of. There are no good choices out there right now.
But
right?
You know what? They can't get worse than McDaniel. They can't get worse than McDaniel.
I'm
sorry. With what we're seeing this year, it cannot get worse with this guy.
Right.
What does he do well? He does nothing well right now. Nothing. He's an embarrassment at the podium. He's an embarrassment on the sideline. And just nothing goes right for this guy right now. Just put him out of his own misery.
I'm usually the last guy to go that route, right? Because, I have the ability to look at everything going and say, instead of saying it's this guy's fault, to look at the whole picture. But as each week goes on, you can just hear it from me. I'm starting to put a lot of the situations and the game time stuff on him. And that's even hard for me, but it is what it is.
He's Leroy Hoard, former NFL running back, obviously Michigan great. Now does a great job middays on WQAM. Leroy, appreciate it as always. Thank you.
Thanks, Gelby.